Good morning and welcome to episode 12 of Best Foot Forwards. I'm Annie, the walk and talk therapist, and I'm sat here with the beautiful Beth from Confidence Education. And talking of beautiful, just look at that view. Beth, I'm talking to, obviously. How would you describe that?
It's clear and crisp, and we've had the first frost this morning of the year. So we're both actually in our winter coats out and about.
We are.
And I've got a scarf on because that is where we're at.
Hot drinks at the
Hot
ready.
drinks, yeah.
There is no clouds in the sky.
It's gorgeous. Lots of bird song.
Yeah.
Very peaceful out here in the cold sunshine.
Yeah, bracing, that's what we call it.
Yeah.
It's bracing. So, good start. I hope if you're listening to this, you're equally somewhere as beautiful as this as well. So today's subject or today's episode is finding your groove with healthy habits. And we thought this was well placed at this time because after a few weeks back into school or college, you're back into the rhythm. There may have been some intentions that we started with, we can all relate to that maybe aren't as happening as maybe as you had intended. And yes, the weather changing and the amount of light that we've got now, it can make us less inclined, less motivated to do the things that we might have started to do. We can relate to that.
Yeah, and there's kind of lots of sort of feedback, I guess, from the end of the last academic year. So you might have had mock exams or finished certain modules and had some sort of outcome and feedback from that. So coming into the new term with different intentions about how to work, and we just thought this was a good time to talk about how to kind of maintain that way of thinking and to get the best out of this year ahead for you.
Exactly that. And I'm sure we've all got a personal story of something, a healthy habit that, and I put in quotes failed, which I don't want to use that word, but I'm going to reframe that later, but a habit that we wanted that didn't maybe work out. Or you've told yourself, right, I'm going to start doing this today, and then you find yourself doom scrolling or buying things on Amazon that you didn't need. And we berate ourselves, we feel bad, guilty, and I don't want anybody to feel that. So today I hope to unpack with Beth what habits are, so in chapters, why they matter, how the brain sees a habit and the cues that your brain takes from that, some takeaway helpful hints, we hope, on things that maybe we can shrink to a manageable level when it comes to putting habits in. I want to talk about the reality of roadblocks, and things do fall off their track sometimes, but what that is fine and how to get back on track. Between us we will unpack those.
And I think it's really important to acknowledge, and you've said this, but it's important to say about how this is something that affects you at any point in life. And it's whenever you want to start something new or want to do something differently. And there are certainly intentions that I've had and not been all that successful of keeping them going, and perhaps haven't had the outcome that I'd hoped for. So I think it's just a really useful thing to talk about.
Yes, yeah. And we'll learn ourselves as we go through it.
Yeah.
Before we start, Beth, I'm going to throw a few myths at you.
Oh gosh.
Okay. Healthy habit myth busting.
Yeah.
Tell me what you think. So here's my first one. Carbs are all bad for you.
So
carbohydrates, yes.
I have done a bit of reading and kind of my own research into this. I'm going to say that no, they're not all bad for us. I'm hoping I'm right because now I've been put on the spot.
Yes, no, you are correct. So carbs are really important to fuel our brain and our body, especially important for teens. The key is balance, not to have only carbs and not to have zero carbs, because cutting anything out would be depriving our body of something. But there is that huge myth out there that carbs, your pasta, your rice, your potatoes, if we have too much of that it's bad for you. So first myth busted. What about, this is it, you need to wake up early to be healthy.
Ooh.
And not lying in and all of that stuff.
Oh, okay. I'm going to say
I can hear the cogs whirring.
Yeah.
Chick, 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 chick.
Yeah. I disagree.
Okay.
And I think this is coming from working with teenagers.
Okay.
And them not wanting to get up.
Yeah.
And also, with my, sorry to mention her, my daughter, trying to get her out of bed. I feel like they need the sleep. But then that also could be because they may have been awake until whatever o'clock in the morning. So help me out here, Annie.
Okay. So, no, you don't need to wake up early to be a healthy person.
Phew.
Health is more about consistency.
Okay.
And if your daughter's been up late because maybe she's reading or she's something has kept her awake longer, she's bound to it stacks up. It makes sense. That's not an unhealthy habit. But in general, health is about consistency, not specifically a time that you wake up. And teens do need more sleep.
Yeah.
Teens do need more sleep. So yes, this myth that if I have to wake up at 7 o'clock, if it's a bit later on the weekends to recharge and balance, then that is absolutely fine.
Okay, I think that's a really interesting thing to think about, because I think there's sometimes some pressure to, if you wake up early, you can get more done. And some people that really, I mean, you're an early riser, aren't you?
I am, but not
and that works
is.
for you. Whereas for me, I like it between 8 and 8:30. That to me is the sweet spot. I don't get to do that in the week though.
Yeah.
And so I think it may be one of those things where there's some rules and discussions out there that mean you might think you need to do something, but actually it's what's right for your body.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Okay.
And my last one.
Yeah.
Drinking a lot of water will detox your body. Yeah, you see people walking around with gallons of water attached to them.
Wow, so those huge water bottles.
Yes, yeah, like a barrel. So what's your thought on that one? Is this a healthy habit that drinking lots of water will detox your body?
Well, so again, it's interesting because when we were at school, I wasn't allowed a water bottle. And now that is the thing because of hydration and helping you think. So I guess I've thought about it from that point of view. I would have thought that a higher intake of water would be good. But I don't know how much, if I'm honest.
No, and it's a bit like the 10,000 steps quote that we hear a lot. In terms of numbers, it will vary wherever you look. But you're right in that sentence you talk about how it helps our brain and our focus, our body. So our kidneys and liver, they already do the detoxing. So that they do that bit for us.
Yeah.
The water bit helps keep us energized and it helps keep us focused.
Yes.
And yes, there's an element of cleanse to it, but it's not absolutely necessary in the respect of
for detoxing.
No, there's no magic detox. No.
That's so interesting. And I bet there is a point, like, because you already used the word balance today, and it's a word that comes up pretty often when we're talking about things. I bet there's probably a point when it is too much water.
I agree. Yeah, too much of anything is simply that. It's too much. Yeah. You can have too much of anything. Yeah. I love that as a sentence, because some people look at me and go, "What? You can have too much? I don't know, love maybe." Well, yes, it can be if the form of it is suffocating somebody, or you're loving somebody via food, or you're showering them with gifts. It's too much. Too much of anything is simply too much. So thank you for entertaining my game of myth busting there.
I think there's an important point here, isn't there, in terms of information out there, and it's linked to like the ability to gain that information. There are lots of different things that look like facts maybe, but there's lots of different research and articles, and there was often new trends about what you need to do as well. So like with different food groups going in and out of fashion of them being healthy or not healthy. And so I think a good point is to not take anything to the extreme.
Yeah, there's so much on social media about what you should or shouldn't eat, like you just said, but also exercise plans. Oh, you need to do wall Pilates, you need to do weights, you need to do this, and
10,000 steps, which is actually really quite tricky to do if you're not walking. I bet for you as a walk and talk person,
not so tricky for me.
Not so tricky. But it's an arbitrary line, isn't it?
Well, it is, and the some might say the cynics, the manufacturers of said watches created said slogan.
Yes.
So let's get into. I've got you thinking.
You have, absolutely.
Finding your groove with healthy habits. Let's start with, why do healthy habits matter? And we've already started to sort of open up some of the important words. But as a reminder for anybody listening, this is not a lecture at all. It's a reminder. It's a reminder that having good habits linked to so much about us.
Yeah.
If we just stopped and slow down about when we feel at our best, our happiest, our energized, it's probably because something good has happened that day in terms of something we've done for ourselves, a habit. We may have met somebody else that's cheered us up, but likelihood it will be a choice. Our life is about choices. So what choices have I made? So they give us high energy, high mood, high confidence, but also good habits can link through to school performance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you talk about habits more at exam time with your students?
Yes, particularly around revision. And I had an interesting conversation the other day about revision, and the person I was speaking to was saying about they are in year 11, and they were saying about how some of their peers were revising already, and that sort of panicked them. And we talked about, well, there are mock exams coming up between sort of October half term and Christmas. Some schools have mock exams for year 11, so there is sort of some logic in this. But I sometimes find that kind of either motivation can dwindle if you are revising too long a term, or you can burn out because you're doing too much and you end up not retaining the information. So the answer that I had for this, I said, actually, there are different ways of revising. And so at the moment, if we are creating, so we were talking about English, so I was like, the thing that you need to know are quotes. Why don't we spend some time creating your flashcards for your quotes, which you then have a bank of to use in the summer when you're revising like fully and properly, you're not learning any new information by that time. So you've done the work of creating the resource, you're doing a bit of revision whilst you're doing that, and then you've got it nearer the time when you know that you actually need to kind of knuckle down a bit more. Work. So I think the biggest bit of advice that I give is about a steady attitude to revision. So if every time you have an end of module test, for example, create the revision resources for that test
at that point.
Yeah. So then when you get to sort of April, May time, and it's sort of hotter, there's a lot going on, you've actually already got the stack of revision, and
you haven't got to do your body weight's worth of
and you're pacing yourself. So that's kind of what I literally spoke about that last week, because we're thinking about different people's attitudes to it. So and that the person I was speaking to was like, actually, that's a really good idea. I will be interested to see if this is something that happens.
Yeah,
is this a habit that is going to stick?
But this is why you're there.
Yeah, exactly.
And healthy habits, I just put this as a bit of a footnote, don't have to be boring or expensive or perfect, because they are individual to us, to the person involved. Like you've said, I love mornings. I love getting up and cracking on. The next person down the line might say, that's horrendous. I'd never do that. But I'm never going to ask them to do that, and they're never going to ask me to change. So that's what works for me.
Yeah.
So that's why they matter. They give us energy. They give us focus. They're going to make us happier, and we feel more confident. So
I think it's about knowing yourself, isn't it, as well?
Yeah, definitely. And
because I'm not a last minuter. If I leave things to the last minute for revision, for example, I don't do as well. So it's working out, and this is what we're unpacking today, what works for you in the time that you have.
No, I agree. And behind the scenes, this next bit, so we know why they're good, but I thought this was quite an interesting thing to break down, which is what's going on in our mind that causes or creates a habit, should I say. So this is the sciencey bit. So what would happen is we would experience what we call a cue, CUE. So we'd experience a cue, which might be, I'm stressed. So the cue that my brain goes is, oh my goodness, she's stressed. I would do something once for the first time, which might be to reach for, I'm just going to take a general example, an unhealthy snack, for example. My body thinks that felt nice. That's a rewarding feeling. So my brain then thinks, right, the next time you feel that negative feeling of stress, I know how to help you. You need to go and get that unhealthy snack and you'll feel better. And then before we know it, we've got this habit. Now I can relate to this even at my age of getting in home from work. There's just a natural progression to a certain cupboard. But the cue is my environment changed. So I walked in, my brain went, I know what we do here. I've got this covered. We go to this and then we feel better. But it's not a good habit. But I know how my brain has made it. So I'm working on that. Leave that just with me. I will update you in the next one. But I wanted to help people understand what's going on inside to create that habit.
Oh, and it's our brains are tricksy things, aren't they?
They're always trying to look after us. They might not do it in the best of ways.
Yeah.
They're always trying to say, they're always trying to look after us, even if it's an unhelpful habit.
Yeah.
But my brain would have said, I made you feel better. What's the problem? Yeah. But I know it's not. There are other ways I could swap out when I walked into the house. So my environment came from work to off work, if you like, out off duty. I could do something else in that. That's what today's episode is about. Which of the bits that work, I keep that.
Yeah.
But actually, the bits that maybe don't make me feel confident. An equally useful example would be the cue of if somebody said to me, right, okay, I'm going to give you a maths problem. You know that me and maths, we're not friends yet.
Yeah.
Somebody might say, I've got a maths problem. Again, the cue is someone's just said the word maths. My body wants me to deal with that, so my habit would be to make an excuse to leave. So I've got this pattern of cue, method, reward. Cue, method, reward. And that's what I wanted to offer as an explanation.
I think that is so interesting, and thinking things through, like with my own personal habits that I would like to change. It makes sense, but also, are you going to tell me, Annie, that the key to starting this is recognizing the cue?
It most certainly is, I'm afraid.
There we go.
Back to basics. Or actually, notice it. Maybe you could start noticing the feeling of I don't like this habit, and then doing what you've said, which is, so what is the bit that starts the chain?
Yes.
So we can maybe sit on the sofa and feel sluggish and a bit rubbish and what's happened today, and think, well, if I just reverse my day, which choices weren't great and what was the cue for those choices?
Yes. Can I give you a working example?
Yeah, please do.
Unpick? That I've resolved it myself, but I think it takes you through the process quite nicely. So about 5 months ago, I tore the ligaments in my ankle and it was very sore. And I started in the summer going to physio, who gave me a set of stretches and exercises to do to help rehab my ankle. And I was really struggling because I was leaving it until going to bed. So I get my pajamas on, and then just before getting into bed, or I'd even gotten into bed, I'd go, I haven't done my exercises. And so I was feeling all like, in my sleep routine, all sort of ready and relaxed. And then wham, no, you've got to get up, you've got to stand on one leg, you've got to, do all of this stuff. And I was getting really annoyed at myself because it was the last thing I wanted to do before going to bed, but I hadn't found a place in the day for me to do those exercises. So I was like, right, I've got to change this because it's becoming a real chore, which is not a good thing. And I need to do this for my ankle. And so I worked out that if I did it when my daughter went to bed, before I settled down and relaxed and watched some TV or whatever it was in the evening, I got it done then before I relaxed. And that meant I could go to bed and not have to think about it. But also, so if I'm out late and I haven't had that chance, I've missed, Kira going to bed, I've still got the plan B, which is just before I go to bed.
Okay.
And I don't beat myself up for it if it's that one. If it's that one, because I've been out a bit later. I'm out of routine.
What
anyway.
A perfect example.
So yeah,
perfect example. And then I might take a leaf out of your book then. So this, where I have my environment change, my cue, where I walk in and maybe go to a cupboard that's got sweet sugary things in. Yeah. I could walk in and just go and put a playlist on that I like.
Yeah. Or put the kettle on.
Or go and see somebody.
Yeah.
But it's just so automated.
Yes.
It's automatic. So that cue, method, reward, that's the
so in the ligament example, the cue for me to remember to do it is Kira going to bed.
Yes, exactly. But what a great thing to find.
Yeah.
And that's what I would urge anybody listening is find the cue that your brain then interprets as, oh, I know what I do here.
Yeah.
So otherwise, if we're left with a bit of an open ground.
And I think in terms of some of the students that I talk to, one of the issues, and it's similar to the whole ankle situation, is when you get in from school, you sit down, you relax, you might, get changed into something more comfy. There's all the things at home, there's the television, there's, phone if you've got a phone, there's various things that you can do. And sometimes doing that, like for me relaxing and then having to get up and do the stretches, that it's so much harder to motivate yourself to do the thing you don't really want to do.
Yes.
Because you already started doing the nice things.
Exactly that.
So it's where is that sweet spot again? Where can you,
where does it fit
in the revision or whatever it is that you don't really want to do?
And so many younger people I hear, the cue would be, I get into school or I get in home.
Yeah.
So you're walking home, throw the bag down and take their phone up into their bedroom.
Yes.
The cue is, I've finished school, I'm coming home. And that could easily be swapped with something else. But so I hope that makes sense. Your body senses a cue, whether it's the environment, maybe the person I'm with.
Yes.
Hey, that's also a cue, or a feeling. So if I feel this, I go and do that. And that might be really good. So for some people, I feel, anxious or stretched, so I know I'm going to go out for a walk. That's a really good habit. That's a great way of using your cue, and have a method and have a reward. We just need to check whether they're the right habits. So I hope that was useful. Cue, routine, reward. So in terms of finding a groove, because we've said we've made this a finding your groove episode, some of the practical tips that, maybe we do these already, but starting small is something that we hear a lot, because if we set any objective or goal massive, we're likely to not be able to achieve it as well. So starting small, whether it be I'm going to do one walk more, or I'm going to eat more vegetables, or I'm going to build my own playlist today so that when I do go out, I've got this. That's a good small starting point. Or I'm going to have a glass of water more than I normally do, because I don't want to carry a barrel of water around with me. But starting small is important. But also something, I don't know if you've heard this phrase before, called habit stacking, where you pair a habit with something else that you're doing.
Yeah.
Now, this is an extreme example, but maybe not, to demonstrate my point. Habit stacking could be something like, when I'm brushing my teeth, I might do calf raises or squats, because I'm pairing it with something else.
Yes.
It might be as I'm cooking or chopping up dinner. This is where I would also pair it up with maybe some revision. So maybe a parent could fire some questions as we're preparing dinner together. So we're stacking and we're pairing up. So habit stacking is just something, again, it's a cue.
Yeah.
Oh, while I'm doing this, I always do this.
And that's kind of quite time efficient as well.
I love efficiency. I love a bit of efficiency. Don't waste any time. The habit stacking is something to think through as well. I know we would always say this, we're making it fun.
Yeah.
There's always music on in our house, but that's just our house. It might not be for everybody else. Might like some more quiet, but we can do habits with friends. We can do habits dancing. We can do anything movement. We know moving is good for our body, but it has to be a personal level of comfort with movement. But yeah, just use your world. Leverage what you like to do. Apps, animals.
Yeah.
Animals are a good one for healthy habits. But you've got dogs, haven't you? So
yes.
You understand the benefits of that. Yes. So starting small, some habit stacking ideas. Make it fun and make it in your world.
Yeah.
Here. So what about when it maybe doesn't go quite so well there? The reality of roadblocks, because it does go wrong for all of us.
Guilt is a real issue. So when I've spoken to students who maybe haven't done as well and know that they didn't put the effort in that they would have liked to, that's the hardest, actually. That's the kicker. There's a lot of sort of it's the word should that we've talked about before. I should have done this. Yeah. Had I have done that, then this wouldn't have happened. And it's that kind of retrospect, looking back at what you should or shouldn't have done. And I'm using should and shouldn't purposefully there, because there is some guilt around those words already. I should have done that. Not as good as I thought I could be. I think that's an issue. Being out of routine. So like I said with my ankle example, when I don't do it if I'm not putting Kira to bed because I'm out.
Yes.
And so I had a plan B for that. So I don't beat myself up because I haven't done my plan A.
We talk about plan B on results day, don't we?
Yeah, plan B. There's always a plan B.
You talk about should reminds me of something I talk quite regularly with in my client work, which is should and could.
Yes. Yeah, I could do something.
So whenever any of us say I should have done this, we're going to feel, as you say, guilt or shame. I'm a bad person. I'm failed. It's never a good feeling. I should have gone to the gym, or I should have phoned my mum. But if we swap that simply for could, I could have gone to the gym. I could have phoned my mum. It just lifts and it dilutes that guilt, just because it gives us hope that I could still do it today. Well, or I could do it tomorrow.
Exactly.
Should means it's been and gone, and that's it. You're never going to have the chance to do it again.
I think it's about having the learning point, isn't it? So, okay, things perhaps haven't gone to plan and you could have done things differently. However, that then means, well, okay, so maybe you've got to resit an exam. What could I do differently this time to make sure it goes to plan?
You could still do it.
And that's the getting in your groove bit, isn't it? Okay, so what happened last year? A bit of reflection. What would I like to change in my life? Okay, how can I build these habits in to make sure that it happens?
Perfect, yeah.
And finding those cues and stacking and all of those things that you've talked about.
Should and could.
Should and could. I could do that. I could do that differently.
Yes.
And that has got a lightness to it, hasn't it?
It gives you hope.
With change.
You can still do the change. Should almost infers that, well, that's that then.
Yeah.
You're never going to get a chance of that again. But it's wrong.
Yeah.
So I think let's normalise the struggle that creating any new habit is a bit of an adjustment, and it's up and it's down. And in my example would be, if you have a bad day at work, you don't quit your job. You just go in again. You start all over again. And it's just to be aware of what maybe derails us. So maybe the people we're with can be an influence, peer pressure. Now, how do we deal with friends who maybe don't share the same goals as us? What about, and I know we're not demonizing it, but it has its place, and that is social media. So that can hype, we've said already, unrealistic goals. And there can be as a reminder, that small consistent steps are far better than all or nothing. I've seen it myself. You can look like this by the end of the month, and it's wrong, and it's unhealthy pressure.
And I think that idea of being realistic is really important, isn't it? So you can have a big long-term goal. There's nothing wrong with that, but you're probably less likely to get there if you just go all in and don't form habits around getting to that place. Actually thinking about the steps, break it down, think about the steps you need to do. So I want to go to college to study hair and beauty. I would like to get a level 3 because that means that I'm getting a higher qualification. Okay, so that means that I need to concentrate this year on passing my maths and my English. What am I going to do? Okay, I'm going to produce my cue cards for my for my English.
I love it, yeah.
And it's saying, okay, I want to get there. That's really important. What are the steps that I need to take along that way? Who do I need in my life to help me to get there? Exactly. What questions do I need to ask to make sure I know the right information to help me to get there?
Excellent, yes.
So I do this, big picture work where we literally get a big piece of paper and do like a flow chart and all the things that need to happen along that flow chart to get to that place. And that actually suddenly makes things feel less overwhelming. So if your healthy habit to get to do your level 3 hair and beauty is to start creating revision materials as you go, if you can see how that fits into that bigger picture,
I agree.
And it's motivating because there's a reason for why you're doing it.
And it's achievable. So every time you tick one of the stepping stones off, it's that reward department in your brain lights up. Yay! You've done that. No, I like that. That's good. I like to break things down as well. Break it down. Otherwise, it's just too overwhelming. But so we've looked at why they are important, why healthy habits are important. We've looked at how the brain builds its responses to creating a habit, and I was quite clear they can be unhealthy as well as they are healthy. Finding your groove is very much about the habit stacking, making it fun, small and often, a bit like your big picture. And using the world that you like. If you like animals, if you like exercise, if you like apps, if you like music, use what works. And then lastly, we spoke about where it is often derailed. It's okay. Maybe review who's in my world. Are they aligned? Was I unrealistic? And I'll just get up and start again. So we're at a point where we sort of think, okay, well, what would be a couple of takeaways to offer people to start with? And I offer this, a 3-day habit groove challenge, bit of a tongue twister. 3-day habit groove challenge where just as an invitation for people to pick one tiny habit and try it for 3 days, but sharing your progress with a friend, whether that be sharing a text message or a picture of what you've done, just 3 days. So it's Monday today. So by Thursday, you could have created a new cue, method, reward sequence in your brain. So it might be that I'm going to change my energy drink for flavoured sparkling water. I'm going to do that for 3 days. I'm going to send a picture, or I'm going to text somebody to know that I've done it. It could be, these are all very food and drink based, so I apologise for that. I'm not going to skip breakfast for the next 3 days. I'm just going to take a banana and maybe a breakfast bar, because I am in a rush. But I'm going to do it for 3 days. My brain will then adopt that as a sequence. It will recognise the cue. This is one we often talk about, is do I need to take a bus or could I walk? Standing up maybe, or doing some stretches in study breaks. Setting yourself a break time, and rather than getting up and going to do something that, you know, is okay, but is there anything that could energise me a bit more? Yes, there is. We could go and stretch around the garden or go outside and those sorts of things. Is there anything else that you can think of? It's just, and this is going back to my starting small.
Yes.
But just 3 days to almost recalibrate our brain to think, oh,
I think that's a really good tip, and it shows that you can do it, starting small, but it is achievable. And you know what? If the second day you forget to do it, that is okay.
It is okay. It really is.
Just pick it up the next day.
Yeah. Don't give up.
Yeah.
Don't give up with that. But yeah, it's definitely personal. It's definitely achievable.
Yeah.
And healthy habits, they're not about being perfect. They're about finding what makes you feel good, like we've said, and sticking with it long enough so that you notice the difference.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. And
the difference, just as a reminder, we're hoping for is more confident in ourselves. We're treating our body with respect and care. We're confident. We are less anxious.
Yeah.
And we're happier.
And less overwhelmed.
Yes, there's a lot on out there in the world at the minute.
Yeah.
Less overwhelmed. So yeah, healthy habits. It's made me go away and think.
Yeah, I know. I'm doing exactly the same thing.
You've looked thoughtful for a lot of that.
Oh, I need to put this into practice with more than just my ankle.
And me and my food. It bubbles to the surface when we talk about it. So I really appreciate having. We know it's there, but it's just less of a priority. Having this chat with you has made it a priority. And I think, right, what is my cue? My cue is when I walk into this room or I walk into this particular shop. Yeah. These are good. I do good things, by the way. I don't want you to think I don't, because there's some really good habits that I've got, but there's some that could do with a tweak.
Yeah, exactly.
Bit of a look at. Well, but thank you so much. And
thank you.
We will reconvene for episode 13.
Yes. Oh gosh,
I know. Anyway, thank you very much.
Bye.